met in actually the press room at the Broncos, April of 2002. And we dated until the 2010 incident.
Here come that baby. Yes, I told that nigga Shannon Sharpe, leave that white bitch alone.
And then it came to abrupt end because I wanted, we were arguing and he was threatening me and stuff like that after, but I didn't see him again after he me.
What the heck, Shannon? 2 scandals in 1 year? How does this happen? You know Unc is a dirty dog, Stephen A. Sometimes when you're dirty, you gotta get a little mud on your willy. Bang! I don't even know what that means, Shannon. Butt stuff. I'm not fist bumping to that. Come on, Stephen A., fist me. Do you hear what you're saying? You fist say, Stephen A., you fist me good.
So I had said no, and I said no, even though I was thinking that. And so it was the hardest. Yeah, this is too hard.
For God's sake, man, get some help. No more scandals. Huh? Sorry, I got distracted. This girl sent me a video of her beating up her beaver. Check it out. Damn it, Shannon. Send me that video.
This is a shakedown.
Facing rape and sexual assault accusations, tonight Shannon Sharpe is not backing down.
I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right.
Today, the former NFL star turned podcaster posting this video statement in response to a Nevada civil lawsuit filed by a woman who says her consensual relationship with Sharpe.
Now, Shannon Sharpe is attempting to clear his name after facing a lawsuit for allegedly raping a woman on multiple occasions. His response revealing the name of the accuser.
Eventually led to multiple assaults. The lawsuit also accuses Sharpe of secretly recording their sexual encounters without her consent. The plaintiff, listed as Jane Doe, is represented by attorney Tony Busby.
And some very X-rated text messages he says he received from her. All right, let's take a look at this. According to the lawsuit, the anonymous woman says it began as a consensual relationship when she was 20 years old. She also accuses Sharpe of a violent sexual assault and rape in October of last year.
And who Sharpe called out by name.
Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out.
And again, in January of this year, the complaint seeks more than $50 million in damages. Sharpe fired back, posting alleged texts from the woman in the lawsuit on social media.
What happens when your biggest week becomes your worst nightmare? For Shannon Sharpe, it was supposed to be a victory lap. A $100 million podcast deal reportedly locked in, a well-earned break from ESPN's First Take, and a fan base that still called him Unc, like he was untouchable. Instead, boom. In a matter of days, he got slapped with a $50 million lawsuit by a 21-year-old OnlyFans model. Audio clips surfaced where a man sounding a lot like him tells a woman he's going to choke her. An ex from the early 2000s, who vanished for over a decade, came back swinging with terrifying claims. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, Monique, of all people, took the stage and roasted him mid-tour like it was open mic night in hell. And trust, it wasn't funny.
Anything I say, you're just gonna get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me, so I feel like...
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
I told that nod Sharpe to leave them white botches alone, she said on stage, sending the internet into full-blown meltdown mode. Never mind that Sharpe once gave her a seat on Club Shay Shay when few others would. This wasn't just shade, it was betrayal, live and unfiltered. But Monique wasn't the only one talking. Enter Machi, the Harlem rapper turned pastor turned podcast host, who straight up accused Shannon of offering hush money and warned, "This ain't civil, it's criminal." According to him, the $10 million offer that supposedly got rejected, that was just Act 1. And now the sharks are circling. Today we're unpacking the full meltdown. Every leaked tape, every ex who's come forward, every celebrity turning their back, and the wild theory that Shannon's about to face way more than just public backlash. Because this isn't just a scandal, it's a slow-motion collapse. And if Mate is right, this might not end in court. It could end in cuffs. It was meant to be funny.
What does that even mean?
Nothing yet. You want to be a dick to me now, so.
I don't want to be, don't manipulate me.
but no one was laughing. Monique hit the stage in Columbia, South Carolina for Cat Williams' Heaven on Earth comedy tour, and midway through her set, she dropped a line that instantly lit the internet on fire. With a smug smile and a sharp tongue, she barked, "Yeah, I told that nutburster, Shannon Sharpe, to leave them white botches alone." The crowd gasped. Some chuckled nervously. But within hours, that clip was everywhere and the backlash hit like a truck. Because here's the kicker. Shannon Sharpe wasn't just some random punchline in Monique's set. He was an ally, a friend, a man who gave her one of the most talked about interviews of her comeback era on Club Shay Shay, where he let her speak freely, unpack her blackballing claims, and gave her respect when most of Hollywood wouldn't touch her name. So, what changed? Simple. The lawsuit. The moment that $50 million accusation hit the headlines, Monique didn't reach out in private. She didn't wait for the courts. She clapped back, on stage, publicly, and with enough venom that it felt personal. Fans who had once defended her as a misunderstood truth-teller.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the out of you when I see you.
Suddenly flipped the script, calling her a gutter snipe, opportunist, and the last person who should be mocking another black public figure's downfall. One commenter on X summed up the vibe perfectly. Shannon stood by Monique when she was down. Now she's up and throwing dirt on his name before the man even gets a day in court? That's foul. But others said it louder. This wasn't comedy, it was betrayal. And Monique's timing couldn't have been worse. Just as the civil case against Sharpe was picking up steam, her viral clip gave fuel to critics painting the case as open and shut. Because if even someone close to him is mocking him on stage, maybe he is guilty, right? Or maybe not. Because what happened next would flip the story again, when another woman from Sharpe's past suddenly reappeared with chilling claims of her own. Just when the internet thought it had heard every disturbing twist in the Shannon Sharpe saga, a ghost from his past came forward. And this one didn't come quietly.
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do. I don't think you have a choice in the matter.
Her name? Michelle Evans. Her claim? That Shannon Sharpe didn't just cross a line, he erased it. Evans says she and Shannon were in an on and off relationship for nearly a decade, from 2002 to 2010. But according to her, the end wasn't a mutual parting or a slow fade, it was explosive, violent, and terrifying. She says the nightmare began when she confronted him about cheating. That's when things allegedly turned physical. According to Michelle, Sharpe assaulted her during one of their final arguments, telling her she would never be wanted by another man again. Sound familiar? Because that's the exact same chilling phrase echoed in the more recent $50 million lawsuit from Gabriela Zuniga, aka Jane Doe. Both women allege that Sharpe weaponized intimacy, control, and power in almost identical ways, and both claim that when they tried to leave, Sharpe lashed out. In Evans' case, she says the trauma left her so shaken that she filed for a restraining order in 2010. But here's the twist. She withdrew it.
I'm not a lawyer, but Shannon Sharpe is being sued for $50 million in a lawsuit that accuses him of a number of things.
Why? She claims she feared retaliation and didn't trust the police to protect her, citing what she called corruption and connections Sharpe had through his fame. But now, in 2023, Evans is back. And she's not just sharing her story, she's suing. She filed a defamation suit against Sharpe, alleging that he's made damaging, false public statements about her, including accusations that she was abusive and unstable. In short, she says Sharpe tried to erase her by painting her as the villain, but the timing of her reappearance couldn't be more suspicious or more strategic. Her lawsuit landed just as the Gabriella case was going public. Coincidence? Maybe, but others say this feels coordinated, calculated. Like someone somewhere knows Shannon's armor is cracking, and now everyone wants a piece. Either way, her reappearance changes the game, because one woman's story can be doubted. But two women telling the same story, 15 years apart? That's not coincidence. That's a pattern.
The lawsuit was filed by attorney Tony Busby, who we know well, on behalf of his Jane Doe client. The suit says that Jane Doe met Shannon Sharpe at a gym in LA in early 2023 when she was 19 and Shannon Sharpe was in his 50s. Sharpe aggressively pursued her and she eventually gave him her number.
And right when people started questioning if things could get any worse, the internet exploded again. This time, over a shocking audio leak that made Sharpe's alleged threats sound a lot less like rumors and a lot more like receipts. The moment the audio dropped, the conversation changed. Up until then, Shannon Sharpe's defenders still had some ground to stand on. There were doubts, messy texts, and stories from the past that could be chalked up to bitterness or bad breakups. But then came the clip. Raw, angry, and haunting. A voice, eerily similar to Sharpe's, warns a woman over the phone, "Say that one more time, and I'm gonna choke the life out of you when I see you." The woman replies, clearly shaken, saying, "I don't want to be choked." The voice responds coldly, "Yes, you do. And I don't think you have a choice in the matter." It didn't sound like a joke. It didn't sound like bedroom talk. It sounded like a threat. That was all the internet needed. The clip went viral in minutes, spliced, subtitled, and dissected across every corner of social media. Podcasts, live streams, and think pieces pounced. Headlines screamed about violent intent, toxic control, and undeniable proof. But here's where it gets messy. Sharpe's legal team immediately claimed the clip was edited, spliced together, taken out of context. They said it was old, potentially manipulated, and didn't represent the full truth.
But before the two of them even hang out, he apparently tries to get her to sign an NDA. She refuses to sign it, so he eventually stopped asking and invited her over. Jane Doe agrees to go over, and according to the complaint, the very first night was disturbing and unsettling.
Then came the counterpunch, a series of steamy, graphic texts that Sharpe's team leaked to try and reframe the narrative. Messages from Jane Doe asking for choking, domination, and even being tied up. Some texts joked about being priced per cheek and requesting him to put a baby in her. The goal? Make it look like everything was consensual, that the alleged abuse was part of a mutual kink, not a crime. But that move, it backfired. People weren't buying it. Instead, the narrative shifted again. If things were really so mutual, why was there a $10 million offer floating around to make it all disappear? And that's when Harlem rapper Mish entered the chat, with a theory so wild, so calculated, that even Sharpe's harshest critics had to pause and say, wait, what if this really is a setup? When Mondai talks, people listen. And when he starts connecting dots that no one else is talking about, you better believe the internet pays attention. On a recent episode of It Is What It Is, the Harlem rapper turned pastor didn't just weigh in on the Shannon Sharpe drama. He detonated a conspiracy theory so bold, it made people sit up and reevaluate everything. According to Mani, the $50 million civil lawsuit, that's not the end game. That's just the setup. The real danger? A potential criminal indictment. Here's the theory. Machi claims that Shannon already tried to settle things behind closed doors. He says Sharpe allegedly offered Jane Doe $10 million in hush money, an attempt to end the case before it exploded into the public eye. But when that failed, boom, the lawsuit went public. The media frenzy kicked in, and all of Sharpe's dirty laundry started spilling out. Fast. But Matai didn't stop there. He floated an even darker possibility. What if Shannon's accuser wasn't operating alone?
The suit says he opens the door and without saying a word just walks upstairs. She follows him, he goes into his bedroom and then points at the bed. He goes to the bathroom and then comes out, cuts out the lights and then lays in the bed. Jane Doe says she didn't know what to do, so she just lays in the bed with him and then the two of them lay there.
What if someone else, a so-called middleman, was pulling strings behind the scenes, trying to squeeze every last dime out of the situation before the legal system even got involved? As Mondyke bluntly put it, that $10 million ain't enough when the pimp needs his cut. Now, to be clear, he wasn't accusing anyone directly, but the implication? Loud and clear. This isn't just a one-on-one legal battle. It could be part of a bigger play to financially cripple Sharpe before a criminal case ever hits court. Drain his pockets? Bleed him dry. Make sure he can't afford the top-tier legal team he would need to survive what's coming next. And the timing? Yeah, it's suspicious. Because all of it, happened just as Shannon was celebrating a reported $100 million podcast expansion, new media deals, a rising digital empire. And suddenly, it's all at risk. Is it karma? A reckoning? Or is someone trying to take Uncle Shay down right when he's on top? Whatever the truth is, Machi's theory lit the internet on fire. And now people are asking one terrifying question. What if this isn't the end of the scandal, but just the start of the takedown? The wildest part of this whole unraveling mess? Once the Shannon Sharpe story hit critical mass, internet detectives went full CIA.
For 10 minutes, silently. And then after those 10 minutes, things started happening. The suit claims that at one point, Jane Doe realized that Shannon Sharpe was recording their encounter without her knowledge or her consent.
What started as a single civil lawsuit quickly snowballed into a forensic social media investigation. People began combing through interviews, transcripts, old podcast episodes, and even digging into Sharpe's early days at Fox Sports. And what they found? More cracks in the perfect public persona. One bombshell in particular resurfaced like a ghost. A workplace incident during Sharpe's time on Undisputed at FS1. Back in 2017, rumors swirled that Sharpe had allegedly gotten into a physical altercation with a female production assistant. No lawsuit was ever filed, no headlines at the time, but insiders whispered that a quiet settlement was made, somewhere in the low six figures, to make the problem go away. And just like that, the story disappeared. Until now. Because in the wake of Gabriela Zuniga's lawsuit, Michelle Evans' comeback, and that chilling choke audio, everything suddenly looked connected. Think about it. Two separate women, over a decade apart. Same accusations, same phrases, same patterns. Then layer on the resurfaced FES1 allegation. Add Monique's flip, mix in Machi's theory about financial sabotage before a criminal case. At some point, even Sharpe's diehard defenders started sweating. Comments on Reddit and YouTube flipped tone overnight, from "this is a money grab" to "yo, why are all these stories the same?" And when fans realized that most of these incidents involved much younger women.
And then the following day, Jane Doe comes back to Shannon Sharpe's house, but she gets there about 5 minutes after the time he told her to arrive. And so she says when she gets inside, he begins yelling at her, accusing her of disrespecting him and wasting his time.
Many barely out of their teens, people started rethinking the whole Unk image. Was this a media takedown or a long overdue reckoning? Sharpe, to his credit, has stayed loud. He's denied everything, called the lawsuit a shakedown, claimed the leaked audio is edited. He's even hinted at countersuing for defamation. But the damage is already spreading. Because in today's world, guilt isn't proven in court, it's proven in public. And in the court of public opinion, the tide is turning fast. And just when you thought the spiral was slowing down, Sharpe's lawyer made a bold move that flipped the spotlight right back onto the accuser. And that move might be his final shot at saving his empire. With his reputation in flames and his media empire on the line, Shannon Sharpe didn't go silent. He went nuclear. In a sharp public statement, Sharpe called the $50 million civil suit a straight-up shakedown. But he didn't stop there. He went after Gabriela Zuniga's attorney, Tony Busby, by name, accusing him of orchestrating a media circus, manipulating the narrative, and trying to paint Sharpe as a monster to force a settlement under pressure. And here's where it gets aggressive. Sharpe's team announced plans to countersue. Yep, the same man being dragged through lawsuits, audio leaks, and social media disasters. He flipped the script and said he was the victim of defamation, of character assassination, and of a calculated takedown campaign. Sharpe's attorney even demanded that Busby release the entire video that the audio clip supposedly came from, not the 30-second edit. The whole thing. Sharpe insisted that the alleged encounter happened during the day, with Gabriela's full consent, and that the choke comment was taken completely out of context. But here's the thing. Even if that's true, the public might not care. Because in the age of viral outrage, the truth doesn't always trend. Still, this countersuit isn't just a PR play, it's a legal chess move. If Sharpe can prove malicious intent or public defamation,
he then allegedly grabs her by her neck and then begins engaging with her. But this time he apparently tells her that he's going to end her life.
It could force the court to consider Gabriela's motives, credibility, and even her online presence, including her OnlyFans identity, where she reportedly goes by the name Carly. But there's a risk, because dragging the accuser's character into the spotlight could backfire hard, especially if any more damaging evidence surfaces. More texts, more witnesses, or worse, another audio file. And with Michelle Evans already back in the mix, the chances of new testimony popping up? High. Sharpe's team is betting big on transparency, on full context, and on the idea that once everything's laid bare, the court and the public will finally see him as a man caught in the middle of a modern-day setup. But if they're wrong, he won't just lose a lawsuit. He'll lose everything. His shows, his sponsors, his legacy, and Mott's warning about a criminal case won't sound like a wild theory anymore. It'll sound like prophecy. By now, the headlines have blurred into chaos. Monique's viral jab, Gabriella's $50 million lawsuit, Michelle Evans' return from the shadows, leaked threats, settlements, countersuits, May's conspiracy theory about the real game being played. But step back and look again, because this isn't just one scandal. It's the slow-motion collapse of a brand that once felt bulletproof. Shannon Sharpe isn't just a retired athlete. He's a media mogul, a culture commentator, a man who built his image on being direct, disciplined, and brutally honest. But now, that same sharp-tongued charisma is being weaponized against him.
And so, according to Jane Doe, this was the kickoff to the almost 2-year relationship that the two of them had, filled with control, physical, emotional, and psychological abuse.
The same voice that held rap beefs accountable and called out NFL stars for bad behavior, that's now being analyzed frame by frame in a potential criminal case. And here's what's wild. It still might get worse. Mahdi wasn't just stirring the pot when he said a civil suit was only phase 1. He was laying out a blueprint. Drain Sharpe's money, drag him through the mud, get the public to turn. Then, boom, bring in the criminal charges when he's already cornered. Sound familiar? Diddy, Tory Lanez, Deshaun Watson. We've seen the blueprint before. And if there's even a shred of truth to Mai's prediction, then the next headline we see might not involve social media. It might come from a courtroom docket. But maybe that's the real tragedy of this moment. Because in the noise of viral clips and old text receipts, the truth gets blurry. Was Sharpe a man with a pattern of toxic relationships finally being exposed? Or was he a powerful figure being taken down just as he was leveling up? Is this justice catching up? Or a setup going global? Whichever side you're on, one thing is clear. This story isn't over, not by a long shot. Because when you mix big money, buried secrets, and internet outrage, nobody walks away clean. And if even half the rumors are real, then Shannon Sharpe's next appearance won't be on Club Shay Shay. It'll be in front of a judge. So what do you think? Is Uncle Shay getting a raw deal? Or are the walls finally closing in? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want the unfiltered version of what really goes on behind Hollywood's cleanest smiles.